Board members, let's move on to agenda item number 9. This is audit committee report. We're going to turn time over to the chair of the audit committee, Vice Chair Hart.
We just have one item, just making the motion that the board release the attendance audit report.
The motion then is that the board release the attendance audit report. Member Bogus.
And
I would just like to make a motion after this motion.
Second.
Okay. So
yeah.
Okay.
We just got to vote. We can't speak to the attendance audit until it's released. So we've got to vote to release it. And then if anybody wants to speak to it, we can.
Perfect. Okay. So the motion that has been made and seconded is that the board release the attendance audit report. Let's go ahead and vote. Member Reel.
Real is a yes.
That passes unanimously. Member Bogus.
Thank you, sir. I would move that the board directs staff to forward this audit to members of our legislature with a brief description and synthesis and encouragement to read it.
Let's get that motion in front of us. Make sure it's correct. Is that correct, Member Bogus?
Technically, yes. I think that the body of the correspondence should say there's a section in there where it has highlights, maybe include those in the body of the email. I don't want to get too prescriptive, but
Is your motion we can work out
With a summary.
with a summary and encouragement to read it. I think this is an audit that I'll speak to my motion after I have a second.
Okay, we just want to make sure that the motion is where you want it, and then we'll go from there.
So I have a question. Can it say members of the legislature, or do our staff understand that we're not just sending this to the president of the Senate? And I'm asking, it's a genuine question, not an assault or an allegation. Do we understand that we want every individual legislator to have it?
I would guess that would be part of your motion.
Okay, then I'm okay with what it says right there. Oh, they changed it.
Yeah, 2 members of.
Okay.
Is your motion correct then? And we have a second, is that correct? Okay, speak to your motion.
So of all the audits that we've done, I think they are all important. I don't want to understate any of them, but I think of any of them that our legislators need to take the time to dissect, read, digest, process, and really inform policy-making decisions. This one would be it. And a lot of times we release them, we talk about them. I think we may need to make an anomaly of this one in that we directly forward it to them and we encourage them to take in this information and all that it says. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I've got Vice Chair Hart and then Member Lear.
Just for consideration, we generally send it to the chief of staff and provide that, or else, because if it doesn't come from their staff, it gets lost in their email. Is that that's with the request that they, because then it's in their system rather than if we send it to their constituent one, it gets lost. Is that works? It's the same outcome, just goes through their chief of staff.
As long as they're receiving that and
Yeah.
this is higher than.
And I know that the members of the interim committee are waiting for this.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry.
Well, the public can only hear half the conversation. They're going to wonder who Molly is talking to and what she's talking about.
The ether.
They'll just be like, yeah, there goes Molly again. Yeah. Okay. So, so you're saying
It's good.
let's make sure, okay, this is good. So, we have member Lear then.
Summary in the beginning of the report. So I don't want more work for staff to create a different summary. I don't know if if it really matters, but or members of the legislature with noting the executive summary or something like that, so that they're not believing they have to write another summary.
Okay, so has our motion changed?
No.
So the motion before the board then is that the board directs staff to forward the attendance internal audit report to members of the legislature, noting the executive summary and encouragement to read it. Seeing no lights, let's
We
vote.
have one. Sorry, Chair.
Oh,
I
okay, go ahead,
apologize.
member Real. Yep.
Thank you, Chair. I agree wholeheartedly with Member Bogus on this. I think that how she explained the audit and its importance, she's spot on. I do wonder sometimes about, it's sort of, oftentimes I feel frustrated when the legislature doesn't, work as closely with us on some items to get information or before they even pass legislation. And so sometimes I wonder if we are preemptively sending it to them before we have had as a board a chance to analyze it, get our thoughts, and, maybe have some things that we would like to do based on what we've learned from the audit and then pass it on to the legislature. It makes us more relevant, is in summary, when we are allowed to have more of that piece before they start passing laws or changing laws because of what they see in this audit. So although I want to have the legislature read it, I think everyone should read it. I highly recommend it. I wonder if this is a little bit too soon before we've had a chance to actually fully vet it, take what we see from it with our expertise at the board level, and then provide recommendation and thoughts to the legislature at that point, rather than here it is, do with it what you want, without, it takes away any work that we could potentially do by handing it to them this early.
Thank you, member Real. I'm not sure if there's a motion in there or if you're just expressing your
It's
your
just a thought.
thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay, member Earl.
Yeah, I think I think that was a little bit of a compelling argument for us to, and not that I disagree with this going out or people having that, but I think if we're going to be in charge of ourselves, so to speak, and make those proactive actions, once we release it, it's public available, right? But I think we ought to have some direction first, and maybe that's just a slight delay, maybe a month or something before we send it, or a couple months, and then just make sure that they're just say, hey, if you haven't paid attention to this is what we're working on. My point of that is that it's us being proactive in our work instead of maybe saying, hey, reaching out to them saying, you pay attention to this. Maybe there's something here you want to do. Does that make sense? And maybe that's not the intent. I'm not sure, but I'm just trying to think of moving forward what that would look like. So
Just
to add, member Earl, I think direction
Go ahead.
was the best word there. Direction, giving them direction. I think that's a great way to say it. Appreciate
Member Kelly.
Perhaps then I would recommend a substitute motion that we add to the end of this, to read it and work with state school board members to enact legislation concerning the attendance audit.
So I think that's an amendment.
Okay.
Not a substitute motion.
Okay, yeah, sorry. An amendment, not a substitute motion then?
That's an amendment.
Okay, yeah.
That's okay. So let's make sure, member Kelly, that your motion is the way you want it to read.
And do we want to call it exactly what are the attendance internal audit report? Or is that redundant? Yeah.
Considering that above.
Yeah, seeing this is a motion, so it'd be connected to the member Bogus's motion.
Yeah, concerning the audit, I would say. Or the report. Yeah, I think the report's fine too.
Okay, member
Yeah,
Kelly, is that,
I think just, yeah, adding that to the end of that sentence.
do we have a second?
I would second that.
And we have a second. You want to speak to that, member Kelly?
No, I think it speaks to what they're saying. I don't disagree. I've said many times that, we need to act instead of being acted upon. And I think this gives us a chance to, express to them that we want to collaborate with them and we want, to be involved in those discussions and have the opportunity to give feedback on how we can move this topic forward in a positive way with legislation.
Thank you. Member Davis? Oh, can we go to Superintendent Dixon? Member Davis then. Well, now your lights on.
Queued me up. All right. Member Kelly, I really appreciate the proactive approach. I spent a lot of years watching reactive actions instead of proactive. So I really appreciate that. I'm wondering, however, and I'm looking at a lease. I believe that attendance is on interim as a study item. I know that we ask for it as well as legislators ask for that to happen. And generally out of that, if things emerge, they will push forward that the committee take up legislation and they'll find a sponsor. So I'm just wondering aloud here if rather than working on legislation, maybe more general in addressing the concern so that we're leading out with it, but that it's a topic of discussion to see then what emerges rather than trying to target. Otherwise, you might have a number of people raise their hand and all trying to have competing legislation. So it's just a way to maybe streamline it so that you can still drive the bus, but thinking maybe interim might be the place to do that, where you all could come with a proposal, a presentation and proposal based on what we know. Just trying to think through it of the best way to go about it.
Thank you, Vice Chair Hart, and then Member
So,
Davis.
so yes, we were, let's see, I don't think it's special to us, but interim does have absenteeism. We also already listed, so it may not be necessary because they're already doing it. They've already made it a study item. We were requested, we know this because we were requested to put together a presentation on what they're doing first, which was teacher accountability. Oh, the UPAC stuff. So in that conversation, this was already mentioned. So we're already doing this. The second thing is a lot of this information will be brought up in the conversation around 508 and the study that McPherson's bill already asked us to provide this information to them, and we have to have that back to them by September. So what I'm suggesting is ship's already left the station, so to speak, harbor. And so train's already left the station, ship leaves the harbor, yes. And we're already doing it. So this may be extraneous.
Okay, Member Davis.
I love actually all the suggestions that every board member has made, and I think more communication is better than less. I'm wondering if you accomplish or resolve some of these concerns by, sending it to legislators and letting them know that we are going to be presenting this information in PEA and in education interim, so that they know, so that we can work on. And we were just talking, oh, she left. Because I don't know that we necessarily want to say that we want to work on legislation, because we are always saying, let's solve some problems here without having to ask for legislation. And member Earl was going to make an amendment to that, to keep all of this, but maybe change that legislation word, but she has left. So that wasn't part of the plan.
We can come back if she comes back.
She said, I'm going to make an amendment. I said, I'll speak to it before you even make it. Okay.
Member Bogus.
Thank you, sir. So I believe more members of the board made my point for me that this ship has sailed and they need this audit report in their hands. And if it's amenable to the body, I would love to strike the word legislation and put possible solutions. And really encourage them to reach out to us to have these conversations in real time. And
so we have an amendment to the amendment to replace legislation with possible solutions.
And I'm sorry I spoke to that.
We have a second for that. Second, okay, speak to that.
I just think it encompasses the conversation and it seems to be the consensus of the body.
I consider that friendly too.
Is there, there's lights on, but is there opposition to that from any board members? Member
different legislators don't start drafting code.
Member Davis, is there opposition to changing legislation, or was that your?
I was just asking if she wanted to
Let's get your microphone on.
I was just asking if she wanted to extend it to say that we will be presenting also and working with PEA and Ed Interim on potential solutions so that we don't have 10 different legislators start drafting code.
I mean, you could, but that's happening regardless of the motion.
10 different legislators?
No, us presenting it to.
I know, but wasn't the concern expressed? You could get lots of different legislators out there starting to draft bill code, bill drafts.
So if I may,
Opening files.
Member Bogus.
Without objection, if this passes, we could just add that language as a reminder of the PEA presentation in the main motion. It would make more sense than to do it in this motion.
Okay, is there anybody, so we have an amendment to the amendment to replace legislation with possible solutions. Is there any opposition to that? Seeing none, let's then go back to the motion to amend by member Kelly. That is right there. Okay. And with that, we'll start speaking to this then, this motion to amend. So member Carey.
I just have a point of information. So the draft that we have has the watermark protected draft, and I'm assuming that's because we hadn't voted to make it public. Now that it's public, this will be the same version. It won't be a draft anymore. It'll be the final version.
Yes. Yes, according to our not AAGs, our IAs, AIs, CAE. According to Debbie, Kevin.
So, and my other question then, Chair, would be, will we be provided a non-watermarked PDF of the document so we can share that as board members directly?
Yes.
Okay.
And on the website.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Member Kelly.
Yeah. Forgive me for not knowing Robert's rules inside and out, but would it be appropriate to add state school board there in that amendment? And work with state school board members?
Yeah, I don't think that's just for clarity. Is that right?
Yeah.
And we could just capitalize. No, that doesn't matter. State school board and work with state school board. Okay. Okay. So the amended motion, is that satisfy what you're looking for, Member Kelly?
Yeah.
Perfect. There's a motion to amend, and it is to add at the end of the motion and work with state school board members on possible solutions concerning the report. Let's take a vote on this since we've had discussion to it. So let's put this to a vote and let's get that open. Voting is open. Member Reel.
Real is a yes.
Jenny. Okay, so we have, that passes unanimously with member Earl absent. Okay, this brings us back to our underlying motion, which is that the board directs staff to forward the attendance internal audit report to members of legislature, noting the executive summary and encouragement to read it and work with state school board members on possible solutions concerning the report. You want to wordsmith that? You do, don't you? Member Bogus.
Love to wordsmith that because it drives me crazy, but I'm gonna opt not to because I think we all know what we mean, and this is not in a rule.
Okay. So the motion has been stated. Let's go ahead and vote. Member Reel,
Real is a yes.
that passes unanimously. Thank you. Committee, or